Hello everybody, this is David. Welcome back to another video. In this project, we're going to interface a standard 4x4 matrix keypad with the Basys 3 FPGA using Verilog and blink an LED when a keypad button is pressed, and also send the ASCII data for that key over UART to the PC where we can see the character in PuTTY. At a high level, the system is pretty straightforward. On the left is our 4x4 matrix keypad, which connects to the FPGA using only 8 signals, 4 input and 4 output signals. Inside the FPGA are 3 major modules. First is the keypad scanner, which continuously searches for a pressed key. Next is the LED blinker, which provides immediate visual feedback whenever a valid key press is detected. Finally, the UART transmitter converts the key into an ASCII character and sends it to the computer over the USB cable. The keypad scanner is really the heart of this project. It begins by driving one row of the keypad at a time while reading all 4 column inputs. Once a key is detected, the scanner determines exactly which row and column intersect. That location is converted into a 4-bit key code. At the same time, the scanner generates a 1 clock cycle signal called key valid. This pulse tells the rest of the system that a new key press has occurred and prevents multiple modules from reacting continuously while the key is held down. Matrix keypads are scanned 1 row at a time. The FPGA drives row 1 active and checks all 4 columns. Then it repeats the process for row 2, 3, and finally 4. After reaching the last row, the scanner immediately starts over again. Because this process happens hundreds or even thousands of times per second, the keypad appears to respond instantly to the user. A matrix keypad is simply a grid of switches. Normally, every row and every column is electrically isolated from each other. Pressing a button closes one switch inside the matrix, connecting a specific row to a specific column. Since the scanner already knows which row is currently active, it only needs to determine which column has changed state. The combination of the active row and the detected column uniquely identify the pressed key. Once a valid key press has been detected, the LED blinker module takes over. The key valid pulse starts a short timer, while the decoded key selects which LED should illuminate. Only one LED is turned on at a time, making it easy to verify that the correct key was recognized. After the time expires, the LED automatically turns off and the system waits for the next key press. The second output of the project is the UART transmitter. The UART is implemented as a finite state machine. It begins in the idle state, waiting for a send request. Once a key press occurs, the transmitter outputs a start bit to signal the beginning of a transmission. It then sends the 8 data bits, beginning with the least significant bit first. Finally, the stop bit is transmitted before returning to the idle state, ready for the next character. This entire process is synchronized using the selected baud rate. Every UART transmission follows the same basic frame structure. The line remains high while idle. Transmission begins with a single start bit, which is a low, followed by 8 data bits, and finally 1 stop bit. In this example, the transmitted character is the ASCII value for the number 5. Once the serial terminal on the PC receives the complete frame, it reconstructs the original character and displays it on the screen. Before going to take a look at the Verilog code, we're going to take a look at how we're going to set this up. So I've got the Basys 3 here and got the keypad right here. And you can use these wires here, male to male wires, to go straight from the PMOD into the keypad. If you have the PMOD TPH2, which is a test pin header, which I like to use a lot, and the only reason why I use it is because I have a lot of these
male to female wires. So I put all the male ends into here, and I'm going to connect all the female ends over to here. And to connect these up, if you look at the keypad this way, we have row 0 through row 3, then column 0 through column 3. And I'm connecting this on PMOD JB, and I'll start with row 0 is on pin 1, which is this pin right here. And I just go one pin at a time in order. I'll connect the 4 rows in order, and then the 4 columns. Right, now all the 4 rows are connected up. I'm going to do the 4 columns. Let's just go on to the next row on the PMOD. If you don't remember what pins are what, you can just check out the XDC file, and that will remind you of what pins go where. And there we are. Now it's connected up, and we'll take a look at some Verilog code. Right, here we are taking a look at the project in Vivado. You can see we have 4 Verilog modules total, 1 top, and then 3 modules that were explained in the slides, and constraints file. Let's take a look at the constraints file first. So we got the 100 megahertz clock, all 16 LEDs. We're using button C for the reset, and this is PMOD JB right here. And you can see how each row connection, 0, 1, 2, 3, goes in a row on PMOD pins 1 through 4, and then columns are 7 through 10. Of course, the 5 and 6 pin is power and ground, right? So it skips those 2 numbers, go down to the next row. And also notice that the columns are pulled up to true. So how we're going to check a column is if it's low, because we're going to activate a row to 0 one at a time and check if a column returns 0. And for the UART interface, we can simply use this line that's already in the XDC file, and just the transmit line. We don't need the receive line, which connects to our top here. So we have the 100 megahertz clock, button C, inputting the columns, outputting rows, 16 LEDs, and the UART transmit line. Now here's the file for the keypad scanner. Outputting rows, inputting columns. We have the 4-bit key code. 4 bits can represent each digit on the 4x4 matrix keypad, and that key valid signal. We're going to scan for 1 millisecond by this calculation here. So the scan max value is here, which is used for the counter to reset the counter. Here's the main scanner logic. This drives the key code, key valid, and also the row index. Essentially, it increments the row index and the scan count when we do stuff based on that information. And that row index is used down here in this combinational logic to turn on 1 row at a time. This works very similar to a 7-segment display driver, where we're turning on 1 anode at a time. This time we're driving a row low, and down here in this logic is where we will check for a column. Right? If a column is 0 and we have a current press signal, then we will take the row index and concatenate it with a 0 to get our row column index combination, so we know what the current key is. Here's the LED blinker file. Takes in the key code, makes sure the key's valid, and outputs the 16 LEDs based on the key code. Here's the UART transmit module, the state machine. The data in right here is coming from the top, actually. So that's UART data. So we're taking the information, the key code, that is coming from the UART scanner from this module here, and using it to set the UART data with the ASCII value. In Verilog you can do this, just putting in this string, and it will take it as an ASCII value, and that's what we're submitting into the UART down here as the data into the UART. And it's taking that information and it's going to shift it out using the state machine. Alright, after you've generated the bit stream for this project, you've gone to the hardware manager and connected the FPGA, and you're ready to program it, you'll want to open your PuTTY. You'll want to select serial and make sure this is 9600 baud. And for the COM port, you'll need to check your computer. So if you go down to your Windows, right click, go to Device Manager, come down to where it says Ports and LPT, click on that, and I have on COM5 is where my FPGA is. So then I'll change this to COM5. Come back, program the FPGA, come back to PuTTY, and click Open. Once the FPGA is programmed, you can see I got it sitting here. So start pressing buttons, and you can see the corresponding LED light up, as well as the values being printed to the screen through PuTTY. They all seem to be working correctly there, so it's good.